Welcome to Act 2 You're On. Join us weekly at our studio roundtable as Rhonda
and Kate invite spectacular guests to weigh in on staying vibrant and healthy.
Launch your next great act with authenticity and purpose.
Summon your courage, superstar, and step into the limelight. So grab a coffee
or a martini
and let's set the stage for a grand entrance. It's Act 2.
You're on.
Greetings, friends. I am Kate Levy and I have the great pleasure of podcasting with my dear friend and dynamo.
Oh, well, thank you. It's Rhonda Garvin-Conaway here. And of course, we are joined by the incredible producer, Kathy Carswell.
Friends, I am so excited for this conversation, not only because I believe in the philosophy of 85-15, and we'll learn more about that in a moment, not only because our guest embodies the entrepreneurial spirit and is a great role model for anyone launching a dream, but because Carolyn Kenney is a longtime friend, a former student, and just one of those people you meet, and you know she is going to be successful no matter what, at whatever she tries, and she'll be a great inspiration for our listeners today. So to our listeners, let me ask you, do you have a great idea? Feel like you could make a bigger impact on the world? Wonder how to find the courage to just create a practical plan and make it happen? Could you do it with 4 young kids in tow? Well, let me tell you a little bit about Carolyn Kenney. Carolyn is a gym owner, personal trainer, and elementary school teacher in southeastern Massachusetts. A mom of 4, she strives to help others be and feel their best within the parameters of reality. From her own life philosophy, Carolyn created the 85-15 Health and Fitness Studios located in Norton, Mass. 85-15 is a boutique studio offering personal and small group training, yoga, barre, PIO, Zumba, pound, HIIT, and burn. 85-15 offers a comprehensive fitness experience led by talented instructors with a passion for their craft in a workout and wellness environment where everyone is welcome, whether you worked out yesterday or you haven't broken a sweat in years. Welcome, Carolyn.
Thank you so much, Kate and Rhonda. It is wonderful to be here. I believe the same things about Kate, that you just know she's one of those people who is going to be awesome at whatever it is that she is doing. And I am honored that you guys have asked me to join you tonight.
Well, I am thrilled to have you here for so many reasons. And we've tried a couple times in our schedules. We're both busy people, so we've finally made it happen. Carolyn, I would say, was my first young mentor, which I think is very much in the zeitgeist now. People talk about having older mentors and they talk now about having young mentors. But I feel like when we met, we just had an immediate connection. I was working at a university. She was a student, but I learned so much from you. And I've always found you optimistic, but not in like a naive, delusional way, because it was always attached to a practical plan.
Yes.
Yes. And
that kind of goes with your within the parameters of reality. So
yeah.
I do really believe that I'm optimistic most of the time. People ask me sometimes, are you always happy? Well, always no. I don't think that's realistic, but 85% of the time, absolutely. So I think that when you look at things with optimism, it doesn't mean that you're just a realist if you kind of think about what actually has to occur to make something happen. It just means that you're trying to figure out how you can actually do what you want to do instead of just kind of seeing this dream.
That there's also people with an entrepreneurial spirit, but successful people like you also, you're not thrown by setbacks. You kind of anticipate them. Or they just get rolled into, you learn something, you think, okay, I'm never going to do that one again, but I learned this, and this is how I'm going to do it better the next time.
For sure.
And there's a next time.
Yes. Yeah.
It's helpful for our listeners to know that part of being successful is there's a whole bunch of failing, or call it learning along the way. It just doesn't always line up exactly how you think it's going to happen. And there's an adaptiveness and a flexibility.
And I want to hear more.
Well, we actually had COVID occur 4.5 months after I opened the studio that we're going to be talking about. So that was certainly not something that we anticipated. That was a roll with it sort of situation. I think that we'll probably get into it, but COVID actually led to our expansion and greater success, which was unexpected benefit of rolling with that. So,
right. So explain this 85-15 thing.
So 85-15 is 85% fitness or discipline is the word that I really use, and 15% fun. That's really the balance for healthy lifestyle in so many different aspects of the way that we live. Talking nutrition, for example. I don't know if you guys have ever tried like a complete elimination diet. Kate, you have for sure, or a very strict diet, a keto or one of those. And so what tends to happen in those situations is that you can be very disciplined for a while, but then the stress on both your body and your psyche of being that disciplined causes you to just fail. At some point, you're like, you know what? Forget it. I'm all set with this. And then you go on like a crazy binge and you can't get yourself back to where you need to be. If you kind of take the days of the week and divide it into 85% and 15%, it's 6 days in one day. 6 days of discipline, 1 day of eat whatever you want, don't work out, don't stress, leads you to be able to maintain mental health, good psychological health, and usually an ideal weight or shape or whatever it is that you're looking for without the demands of trying to be 100%. Of course, you know, when you're on vacation, it's probably more like 15-85, at least when I'm on vacation. But if you're 85-15 most of the time, you can get through those times of being 15-85 without totally blowing everything up.
And I feel like it's practical. And you don't have to throw in the towel because you've factored in, you know what, I'm going to indulge because this is worth it. I love it. It fits right in with my notion of goodish. Like I can be goodish every day. I can maybe touch good. And if I bump into great, fantastic, but I can hit goodish. I can do 85-15. It's so practical and it feels like a very forgiving philosophy.
It is. And, you know, it also allows me to be a trainer and own a gym and be a fitness role model, if you will, without it being exhausting. And I can see clients from this gym at the bar next door. We share a building with a restaurant and bar. I can see them over there while I'm drinking a margarita and not be like, oh no, my clients are seeing me drinking a margarita. Because I think if you're somebody who preaches perfection all the time, then you're holding yourself to that same standard. And when you see people in a situation where you are not behaving at 100%, then they're like, oh, well, this isn't what she tells me to do. So it allows me to live my normal life, to post on social media, to go to restaurants without looking like I'm being a hypocrite, which is a good way to live.
Mm. How did you arrive at this philosophy? What was that process like?
I think that it arrived because I tried to be really strict and I couldn't do it. And I realized like, this is not reality for anybody. And I actually just threw out a Facebook post 5 years ago, a little more than 5 years ago. And I said, hey, guys, I have my group training certification. If we met at a park on the weekend, who would want to come? And in about 11 hours, I think it was, 68 people had said yes. So I was like, oh, all right, well, that's cool. I guess I should find a park. So I found a park, and then just kind of in talking with friends about what I wanted the workouts to be about, we talked about that philosophy, and I named the business 85-15. The tricky part for marketing is that nobody knows what in the world I'm talking about until they come here. So when I was opening the brick and mortar portion of the business in 2019, I put a survey out to all of my clients and said, well, guys, do you think I should change the name? Because like no one knows what this is. And overwhelmingly, people said no, because we want that to remain the philosophy. So now I just have the gym with probably the strangest name, at least in Massachusetts. But once you get it, it makes sense.
Well, I think it's a new phenomenon almost, and it will catch on like wildfire. And I think that support of your clients to say stick with it shows the integrity that this philosophy deserves. I love that.
Oh, thank you. It's a pretty nice way to live.
Well, I know that you love what you do and you have a big life, you have a big family, but what's the most fulfilling thing about running 85-15?
Oh, 100% hands down, it's the community. So we joke here that if you're not a nice person, you would never join, because we would be looking at you like, what are you doing here? This is not how we act. I love the way that anyone can walk in the door and people immediately introduce themselves. We had someone new tonight, and at least 5 people were showing her different things. Oh, this is where this is. This is how we do this. I also like to say that you can't leave without having made like 10 new friends. And that's also a philosophy of life of mine. My children tease me constantly because I'm always making friends, and I don't mean to. We were road tripping to Chicago in April to visit family. And we stopped at it was a Dunkin' and some convenience store, 7-Eleven or something. And I was the only one getting out of the car. And I got out of the car at the same time as the person next to me. We started talking. I don't even know why. We just started chatting. And then I went in and got my coffee or whatever. And I came back to the car. And at the same time, all of my kids said, Mom, did you just make friends with that person in the car next to us? And I said, yeah. And they're like, you are so weird. So they make fun of me all the time. But I bring that feeling into the studio. And it is my favorite thing about running it, because people who are quiet and shy, people who are loud and bubbly, people who work out all the time, and people who are like, oh my God, I haven't been in a gym forever. Doesn't matter. You all have a friend or 10. You are encouraged by everyone. No one is here taking like gym selfies and like here to like look at themselves and show off. Everyone is here to help each other. And that branches out into social events. We have parties, we have fundraisers, we do all kinds of stuff together because everyone is friends.
It's the Cheers effect where everybody knows your name and they're always glad you came. And that is absolutely your signature.
When people miss class, someone is like, hey, where's so-and-so? And we send them a text. We're like, we missed you. So you feel like people want you.
Well, and it's community. And we've just lived through a period where, boy, do we understand isolation in a way that we maybe didn't pre-pandemic.
For sure.
But everybody needs a place to belong. And working out and wellness and fitness, it's such an intimate thing. Mm-hmm. And we feel insecure about it. So taking that step into a gym is often intimidating. And to take that away and then just create this environment where you just know people are happy to see you, they greet you cheerfully. And boy, let me tell you, not all gyms give off that vibe. Very few do. And that's special. I think that leadership, that's what trickles down.
So you were starting in a park, and now I'm looking at this incredible studio where I know friends at home can't see it, but it's impressive. So how did you make the leap? And double question, how would you advise those who are listening, thinking about creating their own business to make that leap? Tell us about that process.
I love that question because I ended up here in kind of a strange way. I was in the park only on Sundays doing my group boot camp where we had a really good time. And then I decided I wanted to take it a little further. So I got my personal training certification. And I got hired as a personal trainer at a gym about 3/4 of a mile from where I'm sitting right now. And I worked there for exactly a year. On my 1-year anniversary, with no warning, the gym went bankrupt and closed. 0 warning. It was a Saturday, and I don't work on Saturdays. So I was at home, and clients of mine who were just going to the gym to work out, my phone was blowing up. Why are there locks on the gym door? Why can't we get into the gym? And I said, I have absolutely no idea. None of us were given any warning that was happening. I had clients from all different areas around here whose central connection was the location of that gym. And I didn't want to give up those clients. And I didn't want to have them all just disperse to their own places and have to find myself a new job. So I said to my husband, well, maybe I should just open a gym, because if I can find a location close enough, then everyone will be able to get there. I had a former client who was a realtor. I need to rent a space in Norton. I'm not interested in any other town. And in fact, I'm not really interested in anything more than 1 mile from where I am right now. And she was like, oh, that's kind of a tall order. All right, I'll give it a whirl. While we were looking, I contacted an owner of a dance studio very close to here. And I said, hey, can I pay you to use your space when you're not there? She was like, sure, actually, I have someone else who does that too for something else. So I started paying her, and she was very reasonable. And we started holding classes in the dance studio in the early morning so that I wouldn't lose all the people while I was looking for space. And I trained there too. So I held personal training sessions and classes in this dance studio that was empty. Then the realtor found me a space that was just the room you're seeing right now. It was really not ready to be a gym. It had been a preschool, and it had tile floor, hard linoleum. It was really ugly, to be honest. I am fortunate that my dad is a retired contractor, and my husband is very handy, and so is my mom. If I rent this place, can we turn it into something that looks like this? Because it's this picture in my head. And they all said yes. So I rented it, and we stayed in just this space for a year and a half. year and a half. And then the business next to me closed and so expanded into that space. So we went from about 800 square feet to 3,200. So that's what we have now. And when we expanded, we were able to add cycle and TRX and all kinds of other stuff. But what I was going to say about advice is my husband loves this quote and I hate it. The quote is, "It is what it is." And I hated it so much that I bought him a mug that said it because it was a joke between us. I love that quote with an addition of a second half. And the second half is, but it will become what you make it.
Nice.
And so I think to people who are kind of stuck in a situation, like, for example, the gym that you work at suddenly closing, if you can keep in mind, it is what it is, but it will become what you make it, then you can turn a crappy situation into something great.
Oh, I like that. We often talk here about finding your team awesome, and you have an awesome team awesome.
Oh yeah, I'm really lucky. They renovated the second side too, and my parents just put in a new floor.
But they also believe in you. I mean, they also created you. I mean, I think you didn't just, jump out of an egg. You just, in a vacuum, you had parents who believed in you. They role modeled some of that. And they also knew they had an exceptional kid. And you're a good bet. So team awesome.
They're pretty exceptional.
They are.
If I could be like them, that would be amazing.
I think you're achieving it.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Not yet. Maybe in 30 more years. We'll see.
Yeah.
When we think about business success, I sometimes wonder how often we attach big business into our definition of success, or big corporations and things and places that are known across the country and globally. But you have talked about how important it was for you to be a mile away, to work in this smaller circumference. How has small town actually factored into your success?
It's a main contributing factor, honestly. So I'm a teacher in our public schools here as well. And then my kids go to school here and I live here. So in terms of word of mouth, the town is not very big. I think there's, I don't really know, 18,000 people or something, but it's not huge. And so if you've lived here for 15 years, which is how long we've been here, believe it or not, you kind of know a lot of people. My husband teases me that he knows no one in Norton and I know everyone in Norton. But as a result of knowing people, word of mouth is really helpful. And in a bigger place, you can't do that as easily. The other thing that helps, because it's a very close-knit community, people bring their friends. I don't have to have a huge membership to be successful if your definition of successful is not being rich. My definition of success here is that people are getting results. I am paying all the bills. I am enjoying myself and getting my workouts in while I am working. And I make like a little money. It's because I'm able to have this small town atmosphere and a small studio. So we have about 80 monthly members plus people who train. But because there's only 80 people, all of our instructors know everybody. One thing that our clients are able to say to their friends is, "Oh, you should come with me to this gym because everyone's nice and like it's not intimidating," like we were talking about before. And I believe that that atmosphere builds the fact that we're in a small town and a small community.
There's no way we can beg you to franchise and open something up in the Metro West Boston area.
I have been asked that.
I'm sure you have.
Maybe someday in the future. Currently, not happening.
So for our listeners who might be thinking about launching their next great act or bringing a dream to fruition, it probably is helpful to know some of the big challenges you faced in bringing your dream to reality.
So there were plenty of them. First of all, COVID started in March of 2020. So I opened in October of 2019. March of 2020, suddenly I was told, "Oh, no one can come to your business anymore." And I still needed to pay the rent. I had instructors who were dependent on classes for income. And I had clients who were like, "Oh my gosh, we're used to coming here every day. What are we going to do?" So on March 13th, we were let out of school. On March 14th, we heard no more people in your business. March 15th. So March 15th, we held class in person in the morning, and we launched our first virtual class that day at 6 p.m. So it was a huge challenge because we had to pivot from in-person to virtual in less than 36 hours notice. But for people thinking about dealing with challenges, that challenge turned into the reason that I needed to expand and the reason that I have so many clients, because we continued our virtual classes. We actually still have them for a few people who want to do it. But we continued our virtual classes right through the conclusion of being unable to meet in person. As a result, we gained members who had nowhere else to go and didn't want to work out alone at home. So it's kind of an experience of taking a challenge and turning it into something that becomes good. Another challenge is that I am a one-person run business. So I have instructors. I don't want to forget anybody. I think 8 instructors, and I pay them per class, but I run the business. So all of the bookkeeping, scheduling, getting back to people via email and text, making decisions is all me. And so I have another job and I have 4 kids. The challenge there was me thinking, this is getting way bigger than I expected it to get. And what am I going to do about that? Because more people want to train and more people want to come to class and people want more classes. I only have so many hours. So I think this will probably resonate with a lot of people. What that actually turned into for me, and I think you guys will get this, was like huge mom guilt. I was like, I'm not really home and I'm really not doing a lot for you guys. And if you meet my children, they kind of amaze me. Like they're very independent. And they're just really like more grown up than they are. So they're 14, 12, 10, and 10. And they don't act like that at all, really. I mean, sometimes they have their moments, but most of the time they don't. But one tip I would have for dealing with that is that they're people. So I actually just sat them down with my husband and me. And I was like, guys, I feel really bad about how much I'm not home. And the oldest looks at everybody else and goes, okay, so don't take this the wrong way, Mom, but like, we're totally fine. And I was like, you're totally fine. And they all go, yeah, we're fine. You're here for dinner. I make sure I'm home for dinner every night. So that's another tip. I'm home for dinner every night. I'm home to tuck people in every night. And I have a break in the afternoon every day to go home, get them and drive them 20 minutes to swim practice. And we talk for that entire 20 minutes and like catch up on their day. And I'm also home before they leave for school every day except Friday. So they reassured me that actually they were really not missing me very much, which was kind of funny. And they said, you worry about us missing you way more than we're actually missing you. So, that was helpful.
So much wisdom there. That's brilliant. And to treat them like the humans that they are.
Yeah. So that was really helpful.
So we are now at this part in our show that we like to call the Golden Nugget. It's very popular. I can't imagine, but I know you do, that you can offer up more wisdom, because I think you have offered already so many wonderful, it's very generous, like these tips that you've been able to advise. But I wonder if you can weigh in on, I don't know, what you think our listeners need to hear as they're getting ready to launch their next great act, or they're at a point of transition, or it can just be simply something you've learned along the way that might be helpful to somebody else who's trying to live out a dream.
Okay, it has 2 parts. The first one is, if you really want to do it, make it happen, which sounds very bold, but I think that that's necessary, because if you don't, you're always going to wish that you did. And you're going to be thinking all the time, oh, here I am sitting at my desk, and I really wish I was handing somebody a dumbbell in a gym, right? That's probably not everyone's dream who's listening. But if you really want to do it, you should do it, or it will nag at you in the back of your mind, and you will never be totally satisfied with what you're doing. And the second thing, the second nugget, if you will, is that you have to let people help you. And I'm not very good at that. I'm really not. I know I already mentioned what my parents have done, like in my gym, but in general in life, really not great at asking for help or accepting help, because I think like, oh, I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. And I think I can do this about way more things than I can actually do. So if you surround yourself, like you mentioned, Kate, with a good team, so not only my family, but my instructors have been the same since I opened, which is almost unheard of in a gym. But it's because I found people that I could trust, that trusted me, that my members like, and that know what they're doing and do a good job. And so by surrounding myself with all of those people and letting them help me, I've been able to get to where I am. If I really tried to be completely independent about it, I don't think it would have worked.
That's the balance of being brave and bold, but also humble. That's a good recipe for success.
And the truth is, it doesn't mean when you get help that necessarily it was a result of not being able to do. You mentioned that word can't, but it's the math. One person, 24 hours a day, and a family and relationships and sleep. So how much can one do? And I think it doesn't necessarily equate when we ask for help that we cannot do something. It's just choosing how we want to do it. So that was lovely. I love that you brought that up.
Yeah, it's a great point. And ask for more help so that you can then open up a gym called 8515 in the Metro West Boston area. Do you see how I did that?
That was
Thank you.
Well, we don't know if that's happening, but unfortunately, we're at the time in our program where we're going to be wrapping things up. And before we do that, we do want to hear what is coming next. Is it a gym in Metro West, Massachusetts, or something else? What's next for you, Carolyn?
So what's next for me is to continue to grow this gym. And then the next thing after that is actually still a secret. So as much as I hate to leave your listeners hanging, I can't tell you any more than that yet, but maybe I will come back when there's more to tell on that front.
Oh, yes, please do. And we love cliffhangers because it does mean we have to speak to each other again. That's fantastic. Well, I absolutely can tell you that whatever's coming down the pike, you'll be ready for, you'll adapt, you'll take a challenge, and it'll bring to new inspiration. That is one of your many superpowers, is your adaptive optimism. And good things are coming, and they're coming for those incredible children. They're also incredibly creative and independent and adaptive. So lots of good juju there. So thank you for joining us today, my friend. You are busy. There is no moss growing under your feet. So we are grateful that you fit us into your schedule and for the incredible wisdom and just the practical advice you offer, but you also embody. So I'm proud of you. You are now officially an adult. Remember what I would
made
never
it at the age of 40.
You may now buy me lunch sometime. We used to always meet and not as frequently as we need to, but I would always pay for her lunch. I'm like, when you're a grown up, and she's like, I have 4 children, don't I count as a grown up?
I think that what I claimed was what made me a grown up was when I had a minivan.
Yes.
I was like, hold on a second. I have my own minivan. So I think that I am now a grown up. But thank you two both so much for having me. It's been delightful talking to you. And I love listening to the other people that you've been interviewing. And it's a really cool thing that you have going. So thank you so much for letting me be a part of it.
You are welcome, Carolyn. It's been our honor, truly. And friends, I know you're going to want to get more Carolyn in your life and learn about the incredible philosophy and gym that is in operation. So how do you do that? I'll tell you. At 8515healthandfitness.com, and on social media, it's the same gig, 8515 Health and Fitness. She's on Facebook, she's on Instagram, and I know you'll want to check them out there.
And who knows, maybe there'll be an 8515 in Metro West Boston when next we meet.
Friends, we'd also like to thank our talented and skilled producer, Kathy Carswell, for making this possible.
Well, I think it's left for me to say, friends, go forth, be brave, live well, and do good like Carolyn, because it's Act 2.
You're on.
Act 2 You're On was brought to you by Act 2 Share Our Stage. You can find us at a2yo.com and also on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn.
Please download, listen, and subscribe wherever you find your podcast. You can support us using Patreon or buy us a coffee.
I do like coffee.
No, you don't need any more caffeine, Kate. Buy Us a Coffee is a platform that folks can use to support entrepreneurs and artists like us.
So we can keep providing resources for the doers and dreamers to find connection, purpose, and the skills needed to create a sustainable, fulfilling life to better serve the world. And also, so we can buy more coffee.
Oh, Kate, thanks for listening, everyone.